Hi, and welcome to Chip's Tips, where today we'll be exploring innovation. Innovation. Everyone is asking for it. How do you get it? Hi, and welcome to Chip's Tips, where today we will be exploring the generation of innovation. Unless you are in research and development or in design, it is highly unlikely that your personal KPI would be the generation of an innovation. That means that instead, your job is to foster an environment that generates innovation through your team and your team's engagement. So this exploration will be around how do you create that type of environment. As with any leader journey, we'll begin and end with you, and there are a few stops along the way that we'll be making. First, let's start with you. If you were given an opportunity to do a presentation to your team, you put together the presentation, you've got 1 hour, let's give it a time. You've got 1 hour. You put together a presentation for your team and you present it to them. And it includes the information and, importantly, the context through which you want to see innovation generated from them. Now, if that time together with your team was, let's say, 1 hour, and you presented for about 15 minutes, for the rest of the time, who do you consider at this moment would be occupying most of the airtime in speaking? Really? No, really. For most of you, what you would find is that you would be doing a lot of the talking. That gives you an idea of the first gap. So, if you're doing most of the talking, the innovation won't be generating from very many places. Let's explore the other elements along the journey to creating that environment then. The first part would be around this idea of psychological safety. Now, whether you've come across the results of Project Aristotle at Google or through most magazines and books, the idea of psychological safety has gained great prominence in generating innovation and teamwork, high-performing teamwork. So, 2 columns I'd like to explore just for this occasion. The first of which is, what is the level of tolerance or exception for our organization for failure? Now, remember, for failure, it's not that any failure is okay or should be okay. I like following the guidance of Dr. Amy Edmondson at Harvard Business School. She's done quite a bit of research on innovation and the importance of psychological safety for generating high performance. And she highlights 3 types of failures that typically take place in organizations. Those are preventable failures. They typically happen around routine activities where inattentiveness is usually the generator of those types of failures. There are complex failures. Complex where you have internal and sometimes external stressors that generate a failure in a fairly familiar context. Such as, if you think of right now, even though Corona or COVID-19, the coronavirus, is new, the context that it is in right now in terms of pandemics or epidemics or health, that context is a reasonably familiar one. Then there are intelligent failures. Now, intelligent failures are undesired results from experimenting in new areas. So experimentation always generates failure. We learn from our failures and we bring from that. That's part of being in any learning organization or learning space. So what is the level of tolerance or acceptance for our organization, our team, our culture around this idea of failure? The other column around psychological safety is simply the idea itself. How safe do I feel in terms of taking interpersonal risks? Do I feel that I could truly be myself to express my off-the-wall ideas? Because that's where some of those innovations may actually come from. Do I feel safe enough to ask questions or voice my concerns? Do I feel safe enough to highlight my mistakes or to mention my mistakes. You can sort of summarize that all by what is the level of permission that I feel that I have in order to express things with candor, with frankness, with honesty. What level of permission do I truly feel that I have? So, along with psychological safety, there's also the exploration of the systems that surround you as a leader in your organization. Now, for this systems exploration, I like to look to the work of Dr. David Cantor, and specifically structural dynamics. Now, in structural dynamics, they point towards three different types of systems that you typically find in organizations. One is the closed system, and I'll use a musical analogy to help to bring this to life. Now, with the closed system, think in terms of a hierarchy. There's one person that everyone looks to for the answers. Musically, that's almost like an orchestra. Look at an orchestra, and you'll have many professional players, and still there's one individual that they look to for guidance to be able to create the music that the orchestra truly produces. Then there's the open system. The open system allows for a greater number of voices, a greater number of inputs, and the processes try to intend that. Now with the musical part of things, I like to think of a rock band. In a rock band, it's not just the lead singer, but everyone knows, more people know more members of the band. And they all contribute to the creativity of what is generated by that rock band. Now the third system is the random system. And the random system is the first one that allows for individuality and more randomness in terms of generation. Think in terms of a jazz band. Now within a jazz band and within jazz has a structure to it. And a jazz band allows for different players to be leading at any time. The drums may lead, the trumpet may lead, the piano may lead, the bass may lead. Different players become leaders and everyone comes in behind that. The random system is the first one that allows for innovation. And innovation in jazz comes as an improvisation. So, closed, open, random. What would be the systems that you would notice around your organization? And is there space for that randomness, for the generation of innovative ideas? From the system, then we move on to a very interesting idea in terms of diversity. Different ideas require diversity. If you were to characterize diversity around you, and this has gained a lot of energy over the past couple of years, diversity in terms of gender, diversity in terms of race, diversity in terms of thinking style, diversity in terms of economic backgrounds, place of origin, culture, a lot of different types of diversity. When you look at diversity for you, how open are you to diverse ways of approaching differing ideas that are presented to you? If your team was to rate you or to comment on what they've noticed of you, what would they notice about how you work with diversity right now? Would they notice that what comes up is fear? Would they notice that what comes up is wariness? Would they notice that what comes up is tolerance? Would they notice that what comes up is acceptance? Would they notice that what comes up is appreciation? How would your team characterize your current approach to diversity within your environment? Now finally, let's come back to you once again. We finish off with a simple idea. A good friend of mine who happens to be a shaman in Wales, she said to me, this little bug has upset many apple carts, and I agree with her. So in this space of upset apple carts, how have you been taking advantage of this situation right now? In terms of your core business, how have you been contributing to the ongoing development of the core of your business to meet the shifting needs of your client base? In terms of those opportunities that are generated from that, how attentive and alert are you to acting upon the shifting sands in this new environment that your clients are seeking different things? Importantly, beyond mere survival, how are you establishing a wonderful foundation for post-crisis recovery? How competitive are you helping your organization to remain in that recovery period? And finally, in terms of this idea of innovation, where is your innovation initiative portfolio? How many things are in your portfolio at the moment? When was the last time you looked at your portfolio? And how well resourced are those initiatives in your innovation portfolio? A variety of different questions, a variety of different things to be able to focus on. It is a journey, and if you want innovation, it is not just one action, it is a strategy to approach. I look forward to our ongoing conversations and our ongoing journey. Thanks once again for joining us. Remember to like this video and add in comments. Feel free to share it, and importantly, be sure to subscribe. When you press that bell, it gives you the opportunity to choose how often you receive notifications when a new video has been loaded. Thanks again for joining us. I look forward to our ongoing journey.